Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Always Be Testing podcast. I'm your host, Ty DeGrange, and I'm really happy to have Michael Gants on the call. Michael, how are you?
Doing great. Really excited to be here.
Thanks for coming on. It's been great to chat with you and great to get to know what you're building, and I think it's going to be a fun one.
For sure.
I got a little walk in with the dogs this morning and before the heat hit in Austin, Texas. How's everything in beautiful Cape Cod, where I believe you're at right now?
Things are great out here.
It's a good place to be in the summer, and I'm hoping to see you in the Bay Area when I get out there again soon.
Yes.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Michael is an amazing entrepreneur. I think you're in for a treat today. He's the founder and CEO of Encore. He's a product and tech leader. He attended Harvard and Stanford. And for those of you who don't know, Encore is an SDK that helps iOS apps make money from users they otherwise would have not made money on and bounced at the paywall. Did I get that right?
That's right.
All right. Amazing. So very interesting. You know, what we love to talk about on the pod is growth, AI, partnerships, testing, of course. And so I think it covers all the fun things that we want to be digging into in our industry. And I think this particular partner, Encore, which you've created, is perfect for all of those things and really encapsulates a lot of the stuff that we love. Michael, just to get us started, what's something that maybe people don't know about you?
One thing people don't know is I grew up sort of a theater kid. I was into improv in high school and screenwriting and wrote my own with a group. We wrote a play we performed for the school. And at Stanford, I was the president of the GSB improv team. So ran that with some friends and we'd perform every quarter.
Wow.
So it's something I've really enjoyed. And it's just nice to be able to be in an environment where you can kind of say anything, do anything, be super free.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I did not have that background or experience. I want to say maybe in the early days of summer camp, I got my dose of the drama and performing, which was fun, different environments. Um, but we were gonna do a improv for our team offsite one multiple times. I think here in Austin. Yeah, we haven't made it happen yet. I think I think understandably some people are like, I don't want to be on stage. So how do you break through for people who are interested in doing it for public speaking or business or just fun or comedy?
Yeah, we're in an incubator called Stanford StartX. It's an incubator for Stanford alums who have startups, and I teach an improv class sometimes there for new batches. And I try and just set up exercises where you can't go wrong. I'll say, okay, this is a random company. You're the VC. You're pitching the company. Go, and they don't know anything about the company. They just have to improvise and talk. And I break them into small groups as well. I think people struggle if it's like everyone's watching me on a stage. But if it's
Totally.
just a small group, if there's like 10 of these groups, it's really loud. No one can hear anything. No one's going to remember. Then people
Yeah,
can start to break out of their shell.
that's super cool. I love that. I think we did something remote during COVID many, many years ago, which was pretty hilarious. Some of the things that people said. But all for fun and all positive. Do you feel like there's some positive, benefit in the business world to improv?
I think one of the biggest things with improv is sort of going with what people are giving you.
Yeah.
And in terms of how I understand different people on my team, for example, different people have different styles. I try and think about, okay, what energy is this person giving out? How can I get through to them?
Yeah.
And I think improv helps with that, because when I'm running the company, different people on the team kind of need sort of a different way of addressing things, a way of brainstorming that feels inspiring to them. And
Yeah.
I try and think about how can I, for everyone on the team, get the best out of them that way.
I think that's an awesome way to describe it. That's super interesting. What inspired you to build Encore?
Yeah, so we were actually building a consumer app. We were building a shopping assistant app. And we had kind of a loyal user base that was interested, but we did a bunch of customer interviews. There wasn't a lot of willingness to pay. It was like, hey, interesting app, I'll use it. Not sure I want to pay a
Yeah.
subscription for it. So I don't know
Yeah.
if anyone in the audience has a product like that, but we were kind of in a bind because, you know, if I talked to customers, I said, well, what if we put a subscription? Would you pay? A lot of them said no. And we were in growth mode. We didn't want to lose a lot of people. Um, if I said, well, what about if we put a bunch of ads flashing on the side? Also, no. So, okay, well, we raised venture funding. We need to make money on this. How do we do it? And so, since it was a shopping app, what we did is we said, okay, Ty, let's see if we can find an offer that's really compelling to you. So, maybe you're like streaming services and we can go to Disney and get a month free of Disney for you. Or so we started going to brands and getting these sort of offers or discounts and embedding them in our app and getting paid on affiliate for those. So that became our monetization, and it was something that users actually liked. They were like, wow, it's cool. I get these really steep discounts. There's stuff I already like or kind of already engaged with. And so we thought, okay, wow, we figured out a way to monetize that doesn't really annoy users at all. It doesn't ask them to pay anything out of pocket. The growth on our consumer app wasn't great. We weren't headed towards millions of users that we needed. So we were like, well, going viral on TikTok, getting this thing to millions of users, we haven't really figured that out. But we have figured out a way to monetize that users actually like. That's pretty big because it seems like every way to monetize either is a paywall that's going to have a 98% drop off, or it's pretty annoying. Like most people have bad experience with that. So we thought about how could we embed this experience into other apps and allow them to monetize really effectively, make more money than they would if they covered their screen in ads, but do it in a way that users actually like.
I love that. That's amazing. Very interesting. The show's obviously talks a lot about the learnings and um, having had some really cool experiences on the education side and within the site and some of your previous startups and what you've been building. What's kind of like shaped the how you think about users and psychology and monetization? Obviously, putting things in front of them is something that is interesting to see, before you see them go, leave to the next step or and how do you think about some of those learnings that maybe informed your view of how do you monetize users?
Yeah, what I try and do is think about um, what I want is a marketplace that's extremely valuable, has billions of people at this marketplace, but no one is selling anything, no one's monetizing. So that's kind of like what I search for. And I feel like that's what we found with this Streaks product that we have, which has been going really well. It basically, it's rewarding users for being loyal customers of the app. So, hey, Ty, thanks for using this app 3 days in a row. You're on a roll. We really appreciate your business. We want to give you a gift. And the gift could be free Apple Music this month, free Apple TV, free Uber Eats credits, free Hulu, free ClassPass exercise classes, free Instacart deliveries. We figure out what that gift is, but it's at one of these streak moments. And a lot of apps have, I don't know if you've used an app a lot. Usually they'll say, that's your first exercise completed with or that's your
Yeah,
first meditation completed, or second, they'll show confetti.
yeah. I'm
But they
thinking
don't make
of
any money. So there's billions of these moments across apps, but none of those moments make a single dollar for any app. No one is making money on that confetti screen. So we're like, okay, that's interesting. There's billions of
unless they're
people.
losing retention.
Yeah, they feel like this is a retention moment. They want to celebrate. They don't want to throw an ad. And I think that's the right instinct. But our feeling was, this is a moment the user is feeling really good. There's billions of these moments across apps every single year. And what if we could make the user feel good in that moment and celebrate it, but also turn that into a new way to monetize users? Because these are your most engaged, happy users. They're excited. Why not build off that excitement with a gift? And so what we do in that moment is say, Ty, we're so excited you finished your first meditation. We want to give you free exercise classes this month with ClassPass. You can be calm, plus you can be fit. How does that sound? And then if you take the offer,
Sounds good.
the app gets paid somewhere between $6 and $18 per free trial claim. So the user's getting a free thing. The app is getting a pretty big payout, and we have these globally too. It monetizes. We can monetize users in India. We can monetize users in Nigeria, all across the world with different global offers. And the payouts are really big. Like we have $10 payouts in India, for example, which is
Wow.
really high. So
Yeah.
way to monetize every single user. And we go to apps and we say, this is something users are going to like. If you want, you can put in a button which says, don't give me any more gifts. And users aren't going to pick that button because they actually want the gifts. If you put a button and you said, turn off ads, almost everyone would say, yes, turn off ads. But this is something that users actually want. And it's an extra revenue source. Doesn't interfere with their experience. There's nothing distracting them while they're doing something. It's these completion moments. So it never distracts, never annoys, and it's opt-in for the user. They can say, no gifts, don't want it. And okay, we're back to where we were, which is making $0 on these streak moments, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you finding particular types of apps are really a good fit for this situation and this opportunity? Like what are you learning from the apps and that side of the marketplace to see who's really going, okay, this really makes sense for me versus maybe not as much of a fit?
Yeah, I think fitness apps really like this. Makes sense to say, hey, you hit your steps goal. Congratulations, it takes hard work. For meditation or journaling. The other thing that's
That's really
worked well is
interesting.
stuff where there's completion moments, like, thanks for buying something in the app. We really appreciate your business. We want to give you a little gift, and then you can turn all of those moments into extra cash. So those have been kind of the moments, is like when there's an in-app purchase as a celebration, and then stuff that naturally is streak based, like you're tracking progress towards your health goals or your mental health goals. Those are kind of natural fits.
Yeah, that's interesting. And are you, what is the, what's the experience like? So let's say I, accept the class pass offer. Is there a way to make that pretty frictionless so you can kind of continue on with your activity within the current app, or
100%.
how?
Yeah. A lot of our offers are just sort of a couple taps. Um, you know, Free Apple Music, you just tap it, double tap, you got your month free. So a lot of them are really seamless, and we've worked really hard with our brand partners to say, okay, this is a new channel. It's really exciting. There's tons of these moments. You're meeting users at a really exciting time, but it's got to be frictionless. So we've worked really hard to get those flows simple enough to make this work, because obviously if you're asking users to fill out a bunch of information, that's against the point of celebrating these great moments,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we've gotten ones that are really simple, and those have been very effective.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When you see users that are saying no at a paywall moment, or like maybe like they're exhibiting a particular behavior, what is a mistake that you see teams make in terms of interpreting that signal or signals like it?
Yeah, I would say, um, if you're running a consumer product, um, you need to have your CAC LTV work. And I know this is a very basic thing to say, but you need to make more money on your users than you pay in ads. And I would say for most consumer products, that's not the case. So if that's not the case, it's time to try some stuff to monetize. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what I see with a lot of consumer founders that's kind of baffling to me is, is your CAC higher than your LTV? Yes. Okay, great. Let's try some stuff to improve it. I'm too scared. I don't want to try anything. What if users don't like it? It's like, well, where are you heading now? If your CAC is higher than your LTV, what is the future of that? Play that out for me. How's that going to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be scared of that. And I would be very willing to experiment with things that can fix that. So
100%.
that's the biggest thing is, um, you know, we have a product which when someone declines at the paywall, we say, hey, we'd love for you to come back. Why don't we give you, free Apple TV on us and a free trial of our subscription. And it's a way to say, hey, I get your leaving, want you back. I want to give you something free. Two things free trial of our product, free trial of another.
Yeah.
And it's been really effective. We've seen, huge boosts in the number of free trial starts. But we've also seen a lot of fear around the paywall. It's like, you're the CEO. Absolutely. Let's do it. And then from that to getting it done. And there's a lot of people who kind of get cold feet, and are like, I'm not sure I want to do it. I'm scared how users would view it. And obviously once we do it, it's great. But there's a lot of fear and hesitation around trying anything around monetization. And I would tell founders, be afraid of your CAC LTV being upside down. Don't be afraid of trying a monetization experiment. Turn it off in 2 weeks if it doesn't work, right? It's not that big a deal.
I think that's really interesting, and like obviously the core of the pod, always be testing. Have you seen test structures that sort of alleviate some of those fears? And like, how would you advise an app to like set up a test like that, even at the highest of levels? You kind of referenced the 2 weeks, but how would you think about that, or how would your team think about setting up that experiment? Because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. So when we help people at the paywall, we always set it up as an A/B test. So we say half of people who click the X on the paywall will see us. Encore will come in and say, hey, we're going to give you a free trial of Apple Music and a free trial of this app. Why don't you change your mind? And half will see whatever they currently do, which might be nothing, or apps have different things they're doing now. And we compare revenue head-to-head, control versus experiment. And we set that up for apps, and we show there's a huge boost in number of free trials. These free trials convert. You're making more money. But even to get that test going, even to say, let's run a 3-week A/B test, is something that for some reason apps there's a lot of stakeholders, there's a lot of hesitation. It's not a simple thing. And I get there's good reasons for that. You want to be careful about the paywall. But I would say as a consumer founder, if your CAC is higher than your LTV, clock is ticking, you're going to run out of money soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's be aggressive about at least running an experiment that's
got to run some tests.
It's quick and learn.
I love that. The interesting thing is that you kind of have two sides, right? Of course, to your business, and with affiliate marketing, which I obviously come from and familiar with, courting the brands to offer kind of like the unique offers and paying through that affiliate mechanism is obviously unique in what we've been talking about. But I'm curious about how you're finding the apps on the kind of the supply side of your marketplace, and how the app process courting them, bringing them in, having those types of conversations about CAC LTV and experimentation. I'm just curious, high level, how those go and how you're going about that, because the other side of it I'm a little bit more familiar with in my mind, coming from affiliate, right? It's a little bit more top of mind for the affiliate community. So I'm just curious how you're approaching that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's facing the same problem. If I go to an app that's really small, and I say, how's your CAC been doing the last few years? It's been going up a lot, right? It's probably double what it was 3-4 years ago. And if you go to big companies, it's the same, right? So big apps, how's your CAC doing? It's typically going up a lot. And the reason is because everyone's using the same platforms, TikTok, Meta, Google, and these platforms have just essentially thrown more ads and charged more per impression. So they've done both, where now if you're scrolling through TikTok, you'll see infinite ads. You're not going to click on all those ads, right? And on top of that, TikTok's raised prices, Meta's raised prices, Google's raised prices. So more per impression, and now you're getting impressions in a very flooded market. It makes sense that that's going to have a way lower return than when there were fewer ads and you were paying way less to get in front of people. So Everyone's facing the same reality. And our pitch is simple: is, we're going to charge you a cost of customer acquisition that's way less than what you would do if you were to try and scale with Meta and TikTok ads. And we're going to only take money if we actually get conversions to free trials for you.
Yeah.
But in order to do this, and we're going to do it at scale, because we're going to be in apps that have a lot of users. So you're going to get a scaled channel that has a fixed cost per person. That's not going to the ad's not going to saturate and you're back where you started. This is a fixed cost per acquisition that can scale, and it's way less than the ad spend you would typically expect to get a new user. The only thing we need from you to do this is a really good offer. So an extended free trial that's maybe longer than you typically do, or a discount that's more than you usually do. And we're not going to, publish these on websites. We're going to put them in apps. It's not, this thing that's necessarily going to get out to everyone. It's embedded in the app experience. But we do need a really good offer to be able to get you scale and get you a really low customer acquisition. And that's the pitch we've been making to brands, and a lot of brands have been willing to do that.
That's great. Yeah, it's almost has an Airbnb feel to it, because you have this unused opportunity or unused real estate that feels to me that you're saying, hey, you should monetize this. You could take advantage of this space in your home or this space in your app that you're trying to do something gamification related or not. And now you can take that space and leverage it for more revenue to make your unit economics make more sense, which in this era is like really critical. And I think it's really smart.
100%. I think of it like Airbnb, because no one knew they had this economically valuable thing, right? Like no one thought about that extra room in their house. It's just collecting dust. They didn't realize, oh, you can make revenue off it. Never thought of their streak screen as the confetti screen as like, wow, I'm sitting on tons of cash here, but I'm deciding not to make it. They just see like, oh, that's a random screen in our app. We don't really test on it. We don't really care that much about it. So we did confetti this year. Last year we did a fire emoji. It's not that big a deal.
Running out of celebrations.
Yeah. But it turns out that could be the difference between your app's economics working and not.
Totally. In affiliate, a lot of that I feel is matchmaking, and finding, for us, as a huge emphasis on authenticity and finding the right fits and finding the fans that maybe don't know they can monetize with a brand. So there's some definitely like similar themes of what you're sharing. When you think about, pairing the perfect offer or a good offer with that audience and that supply on the app side, like what are some of the things you guys go through that sort of allows that to go well and perform particularly well? Like how do you think about matchmaking in this case?
Yeah, so we basically take what the app gives us, and usually it's just an anonymous ID, so we don't have any data on the user, but we know what app they're in. And we'll run tons of offers. So we run an offer till it gets some statistically significant amount of views, and then we switch it, and we run this sort of automated system at first to try and understand which offers work well. And then we narrow in on a smaller subset and get more data and refine. But I'm always interested in what that process gets out. I mean, we had a dating app we were working with, and Audible was just absolutely crushing on that platform. And I wasn't sure exactly why. And we don't always know exactly. I wouldn't have predicted that. But we kind of search tons and tons of offers. We get as many good general offers as possible. And we run them through, once we have a new app, kind of through a bunch of offers until we have headway. And then once we have kind of, okay, we did 100 offers, these 10 seem to do well, then we might have a theory. So then we say, okay, for whatever reason, people on this dating app are looking for audio content. What if we did Blinkist? What if we did audiobooks.com? What if we did some other ones? And so then we can start to think through, maybe we missed some in that 100 that are important. And, let's do experiments. But
nice.
We kind of have this philosophy of let's first let the data run and make sure we're on the right track. And then from there, we can start to be more creative and think through what would work.
I love that. we talked a little bit about the supply side. Obviously, the brands, paying the bills and kind of monetizing, fueling the monetization, I should say. What's been some of the reactions from them? How's that going? Are they seeing some good performance? I'd love to hear just your perspective on like how you're having those brand conversations, how they're progressing. What are the brands seeing on that side? Because for us, representing brands, like this is super fascinating because we are always interested in finding new distribution methods and new ways to get in front of their core ideal customer personas and finding them in new exciting places. So this is obviously near and dear to what we do.
Yeah, it's been we've gotten really good results. It's been surprising to brands because this is a whole new channel that's opening up for them. We just more than doubled our payout we get from Disney because they're really happy with performance for Disney Plus. So that's always a good sign when they're saying, "Hey, we want to double the payout we're giving you for
Yes.
completion." We got a global deal with Uber, which is really exciting. Uh, Uber is an amazing team because it's like they're everywhere. If you go to India, if you go to Nigeria, people want 50%
Yeah.
off Uber rides, they want $15 of Uber Eats credit. So it's really exciting to have those. We just got accepted into Meta's program, which we're excited for because they have the new Ray-Ban glasses coming out, and it's just going to be exciting to work with Meta on a bunch of different stuff. We already are in Apple's. We have Apple Arcade on the gaming side, and Apple News, Apple Music, Apple TV. So it's exciting because the Apple brand is so great globally. That's a huge one in our portfolio, and it's been great working with them. But yeah, we've had really good performance for our brand partners, and I think it comes from the fact that we're in these apps that people really love. They're feeling really good, and with the Streaks product, we think the mood you're in kind of affects a lot about how you view what comes up then. And feeling like, wow, I just completed my first 3 days of my weight loss plan, and now I see ClassPass exercise classes. Changes the way you view ClassPass. It's part of this exciting journey you're on. You have this sort of halo effect that the brand gets, and we think that's going to drive a lot of results going forward. That feeling of like, I'm
Yeah.
making progress. This is the next step on my
Yeah.
journey.
Well, I think there's beauty in this, in that, and it's a testament to the affiliate world and the partner marketing world and the experimentation it provides. Andrew Chan wrote his article, "Law of Shitty Click-Throughs." You maybe have seen it before, and the talked about a lot in the Reforge growth community. It's just an amazing community of like people that have been product leaders and growth leaders, and Brian Balfour made it very popularized and important. But that the fact that you have a new inventory source that gains in growth and interest and popularity, I think brands that are intelligent and thinking assertively about how do they acquire users at scale globally at good rates, they want to try to find and eke out those wins across so many inventory sources. And it sounds like this could be just that. You have to be looking for those new things, because if people are not used to seeing an ad or a gift or an offer, as you referenced, like bet your bottom dollar that's what's going to probably work pretty well. They are the opposite of fatigued and seeing the banners all over the interwebs. They are, whoa, okay, I was expecting confetti and I just got a free month of Apple Music. What the heck? I'll give it a shot. And it's like that's an exciting moment for someone in, to think affiliate, to think growth, to think like new inventory. Like that's literally what that ascending curve, you have to be looking for. So that's super interesting, and I could commend you for that.
100%. That's how we think about it. If you were one of the first advertisers on TikTok, amazing performance, right? If you were one of the first advertisers on Meta,
Yeah.
if you were one of the first people buying ads on Google, you were getting great performance. With influencers, if you were one of the first people who was going to Kim Kardashian and saying, let's do a collaboration, before any brands were, you were getting amazing payoff. Now all of
That's
those
it.
channels, there's just,
Yep.
they're saturated,
Fatigue or
right?
maturity or saturation, all of
Right.
the above, maybe. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we're discovering this new inventory where when I'm trying to lose weight and I'm using a weight loss app, I do feel connected to the app I'm using. It's helping me achieve my goals. If I'm 6 days in and I've made a lot of progress and sacrifice, I feel good about this app. I trust this app. It's helped me through. If it's saying, hey, we have another thing that could help, some exercise classes you could do with ClassPass, that feels right. It feels right that this app I already trust is helping me along my
Totally.
journey. The same way in the early days of influencers, people had that trust in
This
influencers, and
is
it felt right when influencers recommended something that helped
I
their
love it.
audience.
I love this. This is like so core to me because I think so much of what I'm observing and we're all living through is this. We're in this extreme area of lack of trust in
Yes.
so many areas. And if you can, in business and marketing, if you can capture that through that trusted third party, as we talked about when we kind of prepared, right? You get to be that. If you're a fan of this app, I think there's a possible affinity, and there's moments there when, hey, I trust this app to like look out for me, for lack of a better term. Obviously, it's going to take some things to ensure that's there in an era of distrust, but through third parties is the way. And so if someone's saying, hey, this is a good thing, you should try this, I'm super fascinated by it, and I commend you again for tapping into the thing that we're very much wanting to tap into right now.
Yeah, it's like, what are those moments of trust that are still remaining, right? There's not a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep.
So this is one, and it sounds kind of silly, but if you're calorie tracking with an app for 7 days, you kind of feel an affinity with this app. You're using it every day,
Yeah.
it's guiding
Yeah.
you in the right direction.
It's working. That's amazing. Michael, it's been awesome, man. You're onto something. I'm super excited to have you on and just take us through all of these things. I'd love to just kind of come down the home stretch with some semi rapid fire and personal questions to get to know you a bit and finish it up. But what give us your AI tool du jour. Is there something that maybe is like off the beaten path, or a tooling or tech or AI that you're just like really obsessed with or really enjoying using that might be helpful for the audience?
One thing I found pretty interesting is I do a lot of writing because I write to CEOs. Hey, this is why you should use our product. Um, what I found AI useful for is saying, hey, how would Toni Morrison write this, or how would Donald Draper from Mad Men write this,
Yeah,
um, and just
I
using it
love that.
as inspiration, or I said, like, okay, what would um,
It's the thespian in you.
yeah, what would George Saunders think of this outreach email? And so yeah, I use it for inspiration in writing. I feel if AI alone isn't a very good writer, and everyone is bombarded with these outbounds that feel very AI. So I
Yeah,
try to make my writing feel very real, but I like the opportunity that AI has to experiment with different styles and try out different styles and ask it, for feedback from different perspectives. And I think people do, when you're running a B2B SaaS company, there's so much focus on efficiency. So it's like, how do I reach more people? How do I automate a bunch of things? I think because everyone's bombarded with emails, LinkedIn's, cold calls, ads, quality actually really matters, especially when if you get quality right, it's actually easier than ever to scale that, right? It's easy. It's
yeah.
easy if you have the perfect message to get it in front of lots of people using agents. So I spend a lot of time playing with messaging and drafting, and using AI to kind of help me assess if I'm on the right direction there.
Of that. Is there a book or a resource or episode of some, a resource out there that you would recommend to other founders or those kind of going through, trying to build something?
Yeah, I worked for Clay Christensen, the Harvard Business School professor, and Innovator's Dilemma was a book that really excited me as a kid. The reason I think it's interesting now is because I see so many founders going after things that are extremely competitive and that they have no real right to win in, right? So, and maybe some of these startups will work, or maybe people do have an edge. I don't. But if I'm like, okay, AI for marketing, right? Like, there's 100 other startups that are saying, hey, plug in your Meta ads. I'll give you some feedback on your marketing. I'll help you, come up with better ads. Yeah, if you were kind of head of marketing at Amazon and like know all the other heads of marketing and like have the best AI scientist on your team and raise the most money, you could be the one that wins there. But I see a lot of people playing around with agents being like, oh, I connected my Claude to my marketing. I figured out some rules that make it better. I have a company. And going back to Innovator's Dilemma, he would argue not, because the way he taught me to look at companies is what is the arc of how this is going to play out over the next 10 years, right? So yeah, you have some rules you found that make your marketing better using Claude. Is that going to sustain? Let's say that's a real game changer and is winning you sales, and you're getting Fortune 500 companies to come to you because you have these rules. Is no one else going to be able to apply these rules in their Claude who has better distribution or better ability to innovate or better access to data? Probably not, right? So you're kind of heading into this just sea of competition where you have no right to win. And again, if you're able to raise the most, or you have a huge following, or you have an insane network of CMOs you can sell into, maybe you can win that way. But he taught me to sort of focus on things that other people aren't focused on. Innovator's Dilemma is all about the big guys don't want to play here, right? So with Apple Computer, it wasn't that IBM didn't know about personal computers. The CEO of IBM, met with Steve Jobs and laughed in his face. Like, are you kidding me? Everyone's going to buy their own computer. These things don't do anything. They're just these command lines. There's like 10 coders in the world. No one is ever going to sit around with a little personal computer like Wozniak is. That's ridiculous. And so going after ideas where the bigger players are actually don't believe in it at all, that's a really fertile ground if you have conviction to pursue something. And I think a lot of founders right now are heading right into a lot of competition because for some reason this AI boom has caused everyone to have the same ideas. What if we did AI for outbound sales? What if we did AI for marketing? What if we did AI for SEO? Right? It's like you hear the same ideas over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's something about AI that's made us all kind of have this groupthink. I would search for ideas that, the big players just don't believe are right or possible or exciting.
Yeah, I love that. That was a brilliant way to wrap up and finish strong, and what a great answer. And I think your direct experience in having access to one of the best in the business ever is an amazing one, and is a beautiful book recommendation. I've gotten pieces of it, but now I definitely need to read it in full. And it reminds me of the strategy piece. It's hit me a lot over the weekend. I was reading some strategy stuff, and I've read a lot of good books on it, and I find it's interesting always to see like where people struggle defining it or confusing it with tactics. But it reminded me of just the limited resources that you have is a huge factor in determining like what are you saying no to, and what are you really honing it down to. And I think that kind of echoes what you shared about you can't do it all, and you can't run to where everyone's running. You have to think very thoughtfully about something unique, which I think I commend you again for doing in a way that's the Airbnb for app monetization, perhaps, or some degree of it. So
yeah, I really do believe if I had an hour with Sam Altman and I said, Sam, I got this great idea. You take this unused app inventory, these streak moments where they're throwing confetti, and you use affiliate offers to make it a gift. Sam would not be excited about this idea at all, right? So
no.
Because it just doesn't fit with kind of the talk of where everything's headed, and I think that's why
I compliment you for it. But Michael, this has been great. I am looking forward to seeing you in the Bay. I'm looking forward to more conversations. I'm looking forward to following and getting our brands plugged in with you. And for those who want to learn more, where can they connect? What's the best way to get started and chat with you?
Yeah, encorekit.com. So ENCOREKIT.com. And yeah, you can book a meeting right on there. Happy to chat with you. And like I said, these screens are making you $0, these confetti screens. Just try it out for a week. See how much money you can make. It's going to be more than zero. If you don't like it for whatever reason after a week, just shut it off. You got to try stuff with money.
Always be testing, baby. Let's go.
Always be testing.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you, man. And have a great rest of your day.
Okay.
See you, everybody.
Have a great one.